Okay, well, welcome. We are live recording and I'm so excited. So if you are lucky enough to be with us today or watch this later on, what a treat we have for you today. I am so honored to have the one and only Mo Anderson with us for the next, hopefully, hour, if we get that much time of yours,
Yeah,
live from her home studio. I'm assuming you're in Oklahoma.
I'm in Oklahoma. I was here when coronavirus hit, so we stayed.
So that's where you'll stay. Exactly, exactly. Well, we are so honored. I mean, your name, to say your name, you're like the one person in life that I know just needs a first name. You know, all you need is Mo, right? It's Mo, Gary, right? You're one of the legends of our company. And so when all this happened, you and I have emails going back and forth about different things. And you had told me that you were sharing some of these ideas with market centers. And I said, please, please, will you come share with us in Austin? Now, of course, I know we have friends from all over the world on the call too. I know Dubai is calling in. We've got Canada in the house, and we have market centers all over, and we've got a lot of Austin people that will be joining us. So I just want to say thank you from all of us for giving us your time, because any time with Mo is a gift. So thank you for being here.
Well, you're welcome. I was honored you would ask me.
Oh my gosh, highlight of my month. Are you kidding me? I'm so excited. Okay, so I want to just read a little something before we get into the questions,
Okay.
and just get comfortable. And everybody, again, write those questions down, because I really don't want to interrupt Mo, because she gets on a thought process, and I'm going to record this and I'll make notes of it. And then think about, if you have a great question, jot it down so you don't forget it. This is your opportunity. How often do you get to ask Mo Anderson any question you want? So here we go. So Mo, this is my love letter to you, okay? You've been a beacon of light and a great ambassador of our culture at KW for so long. You are the perfect person to hear from when life shows up, how it's showing up right now for all of us. Former CEO of Keller Williams International, vice chairman of the board at KWRI, Oklahoma Hall of Fame inductee. People might not know that. You and Carrie Underwood, my dear, right?
Yeah,
That's
that was
amazing.
fun.
So amazing. Author of A Joy-Filled Life. If you have not read this, guys, you need to read it. I love this book. And a huge advocate for making a difference, and one of my personal biggest mentors. Red Day, our day of community service, was founded in honor of your birthday, Mo, all because of you in May. How amazing is that, that every time it's your birthday, and I know you look forward to this every year, when it's your birthday, all around the world, not just the United States, Keller Williams offices are giving back to their community. It's incredible. It's just incredible. So the timing is absolutely perfect for you to share with us today. It's not just a market shift, which we've seen, you've seen this multiple times in your career, having a market shift, right?
Right.
It's a global pandemic. This is affecting every single person, not just on this call, but every single person on the planet. So today we're excited to hear from you and explore this topic of overcoming fear in times of adversity. And you also mentioned the 4 truths of mindset. So I'm so excited to talk about that and have your amazing presence. So thank you for this big gift of being with us today.
Well, I'll just run through that real fast so that we can get to their questions.
Oh, no. Slow down. I'm leading up to that question. Okay. I'm going to ask you that question.
All right.
But because I want to hear it and I want to take notes on that. So let's start with, what do you think is the most important thing that agents can do in the situation right now that they're experiencing? What can agents do right now?
Well, the most important thing, and I'm sure a lot of them have worked through this, but is to get rid of the fear. Because when adversity happens, the first thing you experience is fear. And creativity will only flourish in the absence of fear. And so we had thousands and thousands and thousands of agents who were paralyzed with fear. And if any of them tell you they weren't scared, I mean, they're just telling a little sweet fib. Because I know I was scared when I first learned that they were going to kill the economy by making us all, hibernate in our houses. The first fear I had was, have I saved enough money to be able to support 3 market centers I have ownership in, to be able to bolster my region. And I'm an actual partner of Gary Keller's. I actually own a little chunk of the national company.
Yeah.
And I know there will be cash calls, and will I have enough money saved that I can meet these obligations? Because let me tell you what, when you get a cash call from an international company, it's in the millions. It's not in the thousands.
Wow.
And so fear gripped me for 4 days. I thought, I have no idea what the cash calls might be. I have no idea what's gonna happen. And I'm scared to death. Maybe I don't have enough money saved. Because see, Gary and I are going to build up the reserves of the company again when this is over. So it'll probably be 2 years before we even get an income. And that's fearful. I mean, even if you have some savings, it's still scary.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Perspective, yeah.
So we had people who were paralyzed. And I don't know how each of you get the fear out between your ears when it's just controlling you. But my Sunday school teacher made me memorize the verse when I was a little kid. And that verse has stuck with me all through the years. And because I have lived a life of adversity and I have learned how you rise above it, that little verse has been real important to me. And here's how it goes. It says, God has not given you a spirit of fear. Well, I tell you, I had one, and it ruled me for 4 days, but I remembered it didn't come from him. Wonder where it came from. Duh. So the next line says, he has given you a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. Well, power is nothing more than that confidence you have in your body to go pick up the phone and call your sphere of influence. Confidence is powerful. And and then, of course, we all know about love, because Keller Williams, we're lovey-dovey, we hug each other and we tell each other we love each other and all of that. So you know about love. Well, now let's go to the third one. He has given us the spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. Well, a sound mind is totally related to mindset. And mindset is taught in Quantum Leap. And in the old book, they had 4 truths of a mindset, and they took it out in the newer books.
Okay.
And I didn't notice it until I taught it. And I want them to go back and put it in again, because I think it is that powerful, what Gary originally taught about mindset. So truth number 1 in mindset is when you change your mind, your circumstances change. When you change your mind, your circumstances change. Now, let me give you an example. There is an agent in Michigan who was consumed with fear at the beginning of this pandemic. And he finally got rid of the fear, and I don't know how he did it, but it's usually through confirmations, speaking confirmations, or it's through, well, Bible verse is a confirmation, really. You know, you're confirming that you understand God has not given us a spirit of fear. Anyway, he worked through his fear, and he got to thinking, I believe I will be able to make some money in this pandemic. He changed his mind, and he thought, wonder if I could do 10 listings in 1 week. Well, to make a long story short, he got 11 listings in a week, and he never entered the house of one of those listings because he did it all virtually.
Right.
But see, he let people know how low the interest rates were and what an opportunity that was to either upsize or downsize.
Yeah.
He changed his mind. Truth number 2 is when you believe something is true, it creates adrenaline and it stimulates your senses. So let me give you a personal example of that truth. Boy, do I know it's true. When you believe something to be true, it creates adrenaline and it stimulates your senses, and you end up doing the stuff you ought to do to make it happen.
Right.
In the late 80s, now remember, Oklahoma is a part of the oil patch. Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Colorado, those states are kind of considered the oil patch. And if you recall, in the late 80s, OPEC lowered the price of a barrel of oil to $8. What did it go to last week?
Oh, and a negative, right? Yeah.
Negative. You had to pay people to take, to buy.
Yeah, please take my oil.
You had to give them money.
Yeah. Insane.
But the same thing happened to the economy in the late 80s, except the government wasn't killing the economy in the oil patch. OPEC was. Here, the government has actually killed the economy. Yeah. I mean, that's what's so sad, because there are a lot of businesses that have closed forever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know if you heard Magnolia Cafe on Lake Austin Boulevard. It's not going to reopen. They just went out of business because of this. Magnolia Cafe. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Not to get you off track, but it's impacting people big time, like that they can't bounce back from.
Oh, that's exactly right. So that's what happened to the economy. In the real estate company we owned, and remember, this was before I ever heard of Keller Williams. It was like the faucet was turned off. It was stark. It was hard. We ended up losing about $600,000 that we had saved. That wasn't, a lot by some people's standards, but it was a lot for us. And we lost all of our investments. We lost everything but our house. Mm. And we ended up being $1.3 million in debt. $1.3 million. Wow. And we were 54. So we started all over at 54. Now, I would say to all my friends during that period of time, I said, you know what? We're going to build back, and it's going to be better than ever before. And I said it 1,000 times, and I never believed a word of it.
Yep.
But I kept saying it. And about 1,500 times, I woke up one morning and I looked at Richard and I said, you know what? We really are going to build back. And it's going to be bigger than before. I now actually believe it. I believe it with every cell in my body. Well, folks, 2 weeks later, a man by the name of Gary Keller accidentally called me, accidentally found me. It was really a God thing, but wow. Some people think that's crazy. So I say accidentally. So he found me. And he began a dialogue with me. Now, see, I was free of the fear. The fear was gone because I kept saying that little verse. And the first 500 times I said it, I didn't believe it. But saying it long enough, I finally believed it. he started to dialogue with me, and because the fear was gone and because I believed it to be true, you know, the rest is history.
Amazing.
I can now say that the best thing that ever happened to us was to lose all of our money and all of our investments, everything but our house, and be at $1.3 million in debt. Took me 10 years to pay that off. Now, I can go back and connect the dots, and I can tell you every minute thing that happened that caused Gary to accidentally find me.
That's amazing.
It's incredible.
That's incredible. Do you think had you not been so low, Mo, do you think had you not lost everything and been 1.3 in debt and everything, would you have been open to talking to Gary when he approached you, do you think?
Well, the circumstances wouldn't have been set up for him to find me.
Right. Amazing.
If the economy hadn't crashed,
Yep.
and if we hadn't lost our money, that's what set up the circumstances that caused me to go to Dallas, accidentally walk into a Keller Williams office. That team leader called Gary Keller and said, I never thought I'd see her again. I never thought, you know, it was just a little office.
And she said, you need to talk
I think
to
he
Mo.
had 7 or 8 offices back then. And so she called him and said, this woman you need to meet. But here's the truth of the matter. I have learned, because I have lived a life full of adversity. There were a lot of stories I did not put in my book.
Right.
Because I didn't want to embarrass my family. You know, one was our son was an alcoholic, and that was hell to go through.
Oh, I
It
bet.
was horrible.
Yeah.
And he's great now, and you know, it's been 18 years, I think. But let me tell you, I have learned that in every single adversity, there is a great opportunity, but you will never see it if your mind is filled with fear.
That's right.
You have to be free of that nasty fear in order for you to see what the opportunity is. There are things happening now that I can't even believe. So believe that it will be true. Do we have time for me to tell you one more
Oh
story?
my gosh, honey, we have all the time you want. Absolutely. We're doing so good.
Here, Gary, he would call me about 3 or 4 times a week. And he never would tell me much about Keller Williams. He just talked about John being born, and he talked about his guitar, and he talked about his church, and he talked about playing with the dog and all that stuff. He was getting into relationship. Well, several weeks later, he called me and he said, Mo, I am thinking about taking the company across the United States, and I've hired a consulting company. Will you please come to Austin to a 3-day meeting we're having? Now, I'm sitting there listening to this, and in my head pops, where in the world do I get the money to go to Austin? I am broke. I don't even have the money to buy gasoline to drive to Austin, much less pay for a hotel for 3 days and pay for food, because I am now broke again.
Yeah.
And when he said, will you come? I said, I will be there. I hung up that phone and thought, how in the world am I going to get there? That afternoon, I went to our mailbox, got the mail, and inside was a credit card. And my mama and daddy always taught me, you don't mess with those, you know.
Just
You'll spend more than you should.
Mm-hmm.
So I activated that sucker, and I bought airfare to Austin. I used it to pay my hotel. I used it to pay for my food. And on the first day, he showed the profit share model, the ALC model. Well, heck, I knew both of those would work because I profit shared in the company I sold to Merrill Lynch, 2 levels, only 2, but I knew the synergy that it could create. And then when he gave me the ALC model, I knew it would work because I had an ALC in my company. I just didn't call it that, but it functioned just like Gary's.
Wow.
Then he shows me the economic model, and I thought, my word, that's brilliant. My model's stupid. I want to plug into this guy.
Yeah.
So in the evening of day 1, I called my husband and I said, are you sitting down? And he knows what that means. It means I'm off on another wild-haired journey.
That's right.
What it means. I said, well, Gary Keller doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to open Oklahoma as a Keller Williams region. I'm going to tell him in the morning. So he comes to the class, he comes to the meeting, and he's late, like he always is. And so I said, Gary, I don't want to talk to you anymore about a training contract. I want to go open Keller Williams in Oklahoma because I know without one shadow of a doubt it will work. And he said, but Mo, I don't even have a document. And I said, well, Oklahoma's not a registration state. Don't worry about it. Just give me permission to use your models and systems. We'll do the document later. I stuck out my hand to him to shake his hand. And he paused. And then he finally took my hand and shook hands. So I went into business with him on a handshake.
That's amazing. Amazing.
Well, I could see the opportunity because I wasn't filled with fear. So that takes me to my 3rd truth. And write this down. When the alligators are nipping all the way around you, one of them is nipping at you, so to speak, and saying, you can't get any business in a pandemic, you idiot, you. The next one is nipping at you saying, I'm a young mother and I have to teach my children. How in the world am I going to call my sphere of influence when I have to cook 3 meals a day? I have to pay attention to my husband. I'm overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. That alligator is nipping, and maybe the 3rd alligator is some wife who says, I wish my husband would go to the post office for 3 hours and get him out of my hair. Because, when you're all cooped up inside, it just drives you crazy. When
You've been spying on our houses, Mo. Have you been spying on all of us?
No, I've just been living it in my house. Fortunately, Richard does go to the post office, then he goes to his office, and nobody ever comes to that office.
There you go, perfect.
So he's in good shape.
Yeah, that's good.
And you see, all of those alligators are just driving you crazy. Well, here's what you need to write down. When the alligators are nipping at your toes and your feet and your legs and your arms, and the hardest thing in the world is to have a positive mindset.
Yeah.
When we lost all of our money and I didn't believe it, I said we'll build back. It took 1,500 times of saying it before I finally believed it. You all have gone to Bold, and in Bold or I don't know if they still do it, but they did. If you act enthusiastic, you can be enthusiastic. Well, most of you think, they say, that came from Mo, and everybody does it and thinks it's the most stupid thing they've ever done. But because it's the old lady in the company, they do it, which is sweet, and I appreciate it. But I want to tell you where that came from. When I married Richard, he had severe depression for 15 years. And if you've never lived with anybody with depression, or if you've never had it yourself, you cannot begin to understand how insidious that disease is.
Yeah.
It is the most overwhelming thing I've probably ever gone through in my life. 15 years. Now, they finally found out what was wrong with him and they fixed him, and he's been great ever since. But I'm telling you, that 15 years was hard. We had one car. He drove it to work. He could barely go to work. And when he came home, he was totally exhausted. And I walked to my school. And every single morning I would cry all the way to the school because I was so overwhelmed. I had no idea how to help him. I didn't know how I was going to deal with everything forever because he was sick.
Yeah.
And when I would cry, when I'd get one block away from the school, I would stop, get a Kleenex out, dry my eyes, and start putting on my front. And the minute my hand hit the handle on the door, I started acting enthusiastic. Was I actually enthusiastic? No, I had the enthusiasm of a dead slug. I was hurting on the inside. I was in anguish. I was in turmoil. And I had the biggest aha I've ever had in my life when one morning, doing that little routine every day, I walked into the school acting enthusiastic. I'd usually get there pretty early, and I just kept acting enthusiastic even though I wasn't. And I looked up at the clock that we all had in the back wall of the school in the old days, and it said 10 a.m. And I suddenly realized I really was enthusiastic. I could feel the adrenaline in my body. I could feel the energy coming out of my body. I could feel it all. And I was excited about what I was doing with the kids. And it hit me. If you act enthusiastic, you will be enthusiastic if you act enthusiastic long enough. Now, the phrase actually came out of a Dale Carnegie class. That's where it came from.
Oh.
But I'm the one who knew that it was true because of my experience. So you see, I was able to be much better. I think that happened in about the 5th year. Well, I had 10 more years to go.
Wow.
And by learning that, because what God showed me that day was that my ability to rise above a bad situation didn't depend on Richard.
Right.
It didn't depend on my kids. It didn't depend on my friends. It depended on my relationship with my Maker. And if I focused on that, I would be able to be just fine in the midst of adversity. And that got me through those next 10 years. So when everybody laughs at me and tells me how crazy that thing is, in fact, it was so cute because I had a team leader on my last Zoom call who said, Mo, you're right. When I took the class and did that silly thing, I thought it was really crazy, but because it was you, I did it. You know, if you act enthusiastic, you will be enthusiastic.
Right.
So see, I've learned that you can rise above adversity.
Right.
So the next truth, when you believe something to be true, it creates a adrenaline in your body, and it stimulates your senses.
Mhm.
So let me tell you about the agent. Well, I've already told you about the agent in Michigan. Let me tell
About
you
the
about
listing?
another one.
Okay.
Another one.
Yeah.
It's another Keller Williams agent who got rid of the fear.
Mm-hmm.
And he noticed that somebody in his market center got a new listing, and it was a little 3-bedroom, 2-bath, a little simple, plain house, but he said it was cute as a bug. And he believed that it could be true that grandparents who have young grandchildren might want to buy a rental property in order to keep it, and then when the little child grows up and goes to college, they sell it and put the money in the college fund. He believed that to be true, and that gave him some adrenaline, and it made him look out for little 3-bed 2-bath houses, because they sell
Yeah.
real fast.
Right.
And he picks up the phone on the first call. He loves on his sphere of influence. He, how are you doing? Are you hunkered in? And what do you need? If you need anything, give me a call back or tell me now, whatever. And then he said, do you know any grandparents that might be interested in buying a rental home because they have small grandchildren? She gave him the name of her parents and her husband's parents, and he sold 2 houses that day. And he has been taking advantage of the fact that there are still grandparents out there who would love to maybe have one rental home to tinker with. And then when the kids grow up, they put it in the college fund. I mean,
That's amazing, right?
He has a better business now than he had before coronavirus. Right.
Yeah, and introducing new concepts to people that may not have ever thought of that, right? And it's creating future wealth that they may not have done without that call that he made, right? It's amazing.
Well, and then there's an agent who believes Keller Mortgage hung the moon because they give this cash back to their people when they do a deal.
Right.
And he had received the sheet from International on the steps for a refinance. He believed it to be true that sheet could be a fabulous prospecting tool. So he gets on the phone and he called his sphere of influence several times and loved on him. But this time he said, listen, who do you know? He didn't ask the person directly.
So smart.
Who do you know that might need to get their hands on some cash in this pandemic? And pandemic. How do you say it?
You said it right.
Okay. And he said, I've got a sheet that shows the steps to refinance a home. And who do you know? First call he got, she gave him the name of her nephew and then gave him the name of the people down the street who had that very night before had talked about the possibility that they might have to refinance. He said, would you call these people and get permission for me to call? She did. There you go.
Amazing,
So,
right?
And then if you were on the call this morning at 11, you heard the team leader that recruited 6 cappers already this month by simply using the conversations.
Right. And he's 300 miles away from his market center.
And he's 300 miles away from his market.
I love that. Yeah, we do just for leadership in Keller Williams every Monday, a growth call. So a lot of the agents wouldn't know that. But yeah, that was a great story, wasn't it? For sure.
And see, you can feel adrenaline.
Yes.
And you can feel the confidence and it makes you go pick up the phone a lot easier.
Absolutely. There's so many reasons to call people right now, right? There's never been a better time to call people. They're at home, and our agents have so many reasons to be calling them. I totally agree.
True. Am I on truth number 3? Is that where I am?
Okay, no, well, I think 4, because 4 kind of, we had hit on the adrenaline.
alligator
one missing. We got the alligator.
Okay, all right. Truth number 4, and this is my favorite one.
Okay.
Your mind is a part of you. Like your ears are a part of you, your eyes are a part of you, your nose is a part of you. So your mind is just a part of you. And it should be your servant master. See, I allowed it to be my master for 4 days at the beginning of this pandemic. And so the next day I thought, oh my goodness, I've let my mind control me when it should be my servant. Because you see, the truth is, thoughts come in to your mind, and they'll either come from the force of good, or sometimes they come from the force of evil. I mean, or they'll come from a person who said something to you, and your mind absorbs what they said. So they come from all different places. So I got up the next morning realizing that, and I slapped my head and I said, you know what? You don't get to decide what stays in here. So I'm kicking you out. I'm kicking this negativity out. And I'm going to put a positive thing in my mind. And I know that I have enough money, or the good Lord will supply me with enough money to support 3 offices, a region, and international. And boy, I was determined. And the minute I did that, I could feel energy in my body. I pick up the phone, I call Kelly, and I say, I don't know what a Zoom call is, but I want to do Zoom calls if anybody wants to talk to me. And she said, Mo, already this morning I've had 3 calls of people wanting you to do a Zoom call with the market center. And she said, what are you going to say to them? And I said, I'm going to teach them about the 4 laws of a mindset.
I love it. I love it. You know, I love it. And this is so good. And one of the questions I had written for you, and you kind of talked about it, but this is something we talk about a lot in Bold, and you've brought this up before too, but do you believe you can have fear and faith at the same time?
Absolutely not.
So when you, after that 4 days, and said, mind, you do not owe me. Never, right?
Yeah, I had no faith.
Right.
It was all fear.
Right. And so I really believe that, you know, and it's, I say that too every day, whatever we're going through, am I living in fear or am I living in faith? And one is a negative, debilitating victim mindset, and one is a proactive, I'm in control of my destiny. Faith or fear, and you can't have both at the same time, right?
Like I said a while ago, creativity cannot flourish when your head's full of fear. It cannot function.
Right. Okay, so you hit a lot of my questions. Okay, so we're gonna open it up then, because you did so great. Let me just real quickly tell you some of these comments on the side here. Let's see.
Well, I see them.
You see them. Okay, you see all these. I love you, Mo.
Oh, and I just love them back. Like
we've got Patrizia on the call. That's that wonderful KW agent from Italy that I had sent you, forwarded her email. She's on the call. So kisses. We got Casey. We got a bunch of people. Okay, so guys, this is your opportunity to ask a question to the one and only Mo Anderson. So please unmute yourself and ask the question.
We may all do it at one time.
Yeah. Diane, you go first.
Well, it's an observation. And one thing that I've noticed during this time, and Mo, you said it many times, is you decided here, but you also took an action step. And I'm just curious if you process that way, and you just move out of fear and take action, and then what does that do for you?
well, then something happens. I don't know how many people are benefiting from a call from me, but you know what? If there's just one on the call that
Right.
they learn that you can rise above adversity, it is worth my hour of time.
That's awesome. That's
And some of the calls are, enormous. Some of the calls are 30 people, some are 100 people. So I'm just throwing it out there, hoping it sticks on the wall for somebody.
well, yeah, I know I took good
Oh,
notes.
it
So.
will, Mo. It's gonna, it
Because-
absolutely will.
Through growing up in poverty as a kid, two great things happened to me that changed my life. And one was I developed this unbelievable work ethic that paid off for me when I moved to Austin. The second was I was sick and tired of being poor. And I made a determination when I was like 8 years old. I said, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to make more money than I need. And you see, that's all in the world the Millionaire Real Estate book is about. It's about making more money than you need so that you can finally give money away. I had watched my father give his time away, but he never had any money to give away. And a lot of problems take money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true. I bet you, and what you fill your mind with is very, very important, right? And so I bet you don't sit there 24/7 and watch the news.
Oh, no. I've quit watching the news.
Right.
I'm
That is
sick of politicians I could throw up.
Oh,
'cause
God.
all
That's
you
a positivity
see on
killer
the
right there.
Should go on that, Mo, but I
Let's
know
not go down
that.
that. Let's not go down that road. Okay.
And like the other night, we decided to watch something, to watch a movie. And I'm very careful about watching movies because Richard likes scary horror sort of stuff. I can't watch that because I actually experience fear.
Same
And
here.
I don't want fear in my mind. I will not watch those. I'm careful about the books I read because this fear thing, when you grow up in poverty like I did, and you would go to a dank, dark cellar as a child when the storms came, and I always had holes in my shoes and battered, beat up clothes. And then when the storm was over, my father would push that cellar door open. And those old cellars on those farms where it's dark and it's damp and it's filled with cobwebs. So see, fear was a huge thing for me as a child. And we'd push that door open and just pray that the crop was still there. Because if it wasn't, there was no money. And I remember one time he lost 3 crops in a row. And that man would not give up. He just kept on keeping on.
That's awesome. Hey, I see Ricky. Ricky is unmuted. You know Ricky Kane and Cody Key on the
Oh,
phone.
I love Ricky Kane.
Hey, Bo. I actually it's great to see you. You look beautiful. You look beautiful, by the way.
I have no makeup on. Only lipstick.
She looks
Well,
amazing.
Bad, and it doesn't do any good. Put all that makeup on.
Well, you look great. And I do have a question for you, and I've always wondered this. A positive mindset and a proactive mindset, you're not born with it. And so I'm curious to know what specific things that you did. It takes hard work and it takes dedication. What did that hard work and dedication look like for you specifically to get you in the mind space where you are now and where you have been for quite a while?
Well, see, I've always said that growing up in poverty was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, other than losing my money in the late 80s. And the reason is because I developed a work ethic that I'd put up against anybody. And what I was taught as a child in this poverty was, we are always going to take action. So see, you can get rid of the faith, but if you don't take the action, it still won't work. if the fear will come back. And so it was learning to take action. I'll never forget when my brother came home from school one day and he said, oh, there's a government handout of some kind in Enid, which was 21 miles away, but it was the closest larger community. It was the larger town. And my dad said, well, so there's a handout. And my brother said, well, let's go. Let's get some free stuff. My dad said, nope. We're going to use our own creativity and our own ingenuity to get what we need. See, he taught me the action part along with getting out the fear. And that's how I learned that you can rise above adversity. Does that help? It was always action. Well, now you need to be shelling the peas, or you need to be feeding the baby lamb, with the bottle, because some mothers didn't, feed their little baby lambs. It was always take action, take action, take action. Well, in doing that, you develop a work ethic, and you finally learn that action is always required.
It's interesting. It seems like a lot of people with the positive mindset that take action have faced major adversity. And so me and Cody Care are always looking at ways to coach our people to think a certain way without having to experience that adversity to get to that place.
Yeah.
Because by then you're having to go through that challenge. But if you can avoid that adversity and get there without it, that's the secret sauce.
Well, that would be wonderful, but I haven't ever heard of anyone yet that hasn't faced adversity. Jesus didn't say it would be easy. He said it would be worth it.
That's true.
And I'm the guilty grandmother who tries to save all my little sweet darling grandkids adversity so they don't have to go through it. And Richard tells me all the time, he says, Mo, you are stealing their blessing. You're not allowing them to experience what they need to experience so they can learn about adversity. So I'm one of those awful grandmothers that spoil them.
No, I'm sure you're horrible.
I've tried to quit doing that, but I'm not very good.
I'm volunteering for adoption.
Yes, exactly. Hey,
I am an expert on experiences worth giving. I am so good at that, you wouldn't believe it.
Oh, I know. I love all your things you do with your girlfriends,
And my grandkids.
I bet. Amazing.
Yeah,
Real
it's pretty good. I learned that.
You're an inspiration. Who else would have a question? Unmute yourself. This is your opportunity. We have about 11 more minutes of her time, so don't be shy. This is your chance to ask Mo Anderson a question.
This is Chrissy here.
Hi, Chrissy.
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
I was wondering when, we all, as you were saying, we do all face adversity of some kind. Do you ever have those moments when the past,
they look good, guys,
when the past creeps up on you and you find yourself like battling some story from the past?
Okay, we need to wait until your other color dries.
1 second, Michelle Busby, mute yourself. Michelle Busby. Sorry, hold that thought.
Rinse it off before you change it.
Michelle Busby, mute yourself, dear. My team leader at the Northwest is not muted. Mute yourself, dear. Thank you. Okay, Chrissy, please continue.
So do you ever have those moments when the past, some story from your past creeps in, and in the moment you find yourself having, I do. I find myself having to battle some story from the past and having to deal with it in the moment. And maybe that's a distraction. Have you ever?
Honey, it happens. It happens to me all the time. All the time. I'll have a bad experience or a situation that was so hurtful it'll pop into my mind. And this is where you have to say, mind, you are my servant. You are not my master. I get to pick what you think about. I am not going to entertain any more thoughts about that story. That is in the past. I'm all into moving forward, or as Gary says, onward. Get the heck out of here. That's what I do. It's as silly as if you act enthusiastic, you will be enthusiastic, but it works.
Okay, thanks, Mo.
Christy is one of our fabulous agents in the Bastrop area in our Austin Southwest location. She's amazing. Thank you, Christy.
She's sure in a beautiful area.
Yes.
Yes, very beautiful. Okay, who else has a question? Unmute and then mute yourself, please. Michelle, did you have a question, dear? Is that why you're unmuted? Because I think you were waiting to ask something. No, she's not. She doesn't.
I love that, Michelle.
Melanie, I saw
Mo?
Alice had a question on the chat, but I don't hear her speaking up.
Read it.
I'm waiting. I'm trying not to interrupt anybody.
Oh, go Alice.
Go,
Okay.
Alice.
Okay, I'll go. Go with Mo. I'll do it. What do you do in a situation, Mo, when we can separate ourselves from people that are negative? What about if you can't separate yourself from your family?
Well, that's so true. And it goes back to you can have peace, you can have joy, you can have comfort if this relationship is really good. And you can't focus on that family member. You have to focus on this relationship. So once again, I lean into my faith. That's what keeps me above all that. You can imagine having, I don't know if I told this group that, but we had an alcoholic son, and it was years of hell to go through. And that was probably, one of the most difficult times in my life. But if I had learned the truths about mindset way back then, because it happened to him in graduate school when he started drinking, he would have gotten better so much sooner, because I was really a hindrance to him getting better, because I was always fussing over him and being dramatic and being all the things you shouldn't be, when I should have focused on God, and I should have just been in the Word and claiming His promises. One of my favorite Psalms is Psalms 103, and he says, "Forget not my benefits." And he lists 6 benefits you get. Well, if I'd gone to those and stopped being an idiot, he would have gotten better sooner. If that happened to me now, I would know how to handle it, but I didn't know how to handle it back then. So when you have negativity in your life that is so profound, it's just unreal. It will either drag you down if you don't learn how to rise above it. Did I answer your question?
You did indeed, and just beautifully.
Okay.
We love Alice. If you don't know Alice, she's our compliance director at the Northwest. She's amazing. Okay, Tess, do you have a question?
Well, no, I just wanted to say that I have like a story affirmation based on everything. I just wanted to say to everybody that I feel like I've lived Mo's life, and I'm nowhere near old enough to be saying that. But I've dealt with quite a few things in all those different directions, and I have to say, on the 8th of this month, when I lost my sister in that tragic car accident that was not even her fault, really, it was so shocking. And for like maybe the first 2 to 4 days, similar subject, I just kind of sat and didn't know what to be or how to be, or I had to even tell myself to breathe. But truthfully, you know, and I don't know where my life is really ever going to go. Do any of us? But truthfully, all these different things that I've had from Keller Williams from day one, and some other stuff growing up, all my adversities, it's been a nice blessing. I've felt the love that people think is so silly and say is just junk. And I've also felt the silliness that Mo spoke of about the bold stuff. I was like, I don't want to go to the bold. Everyone does silly things there, but
you're going. But
I am going. But just like she said, you know, the depression thing, you don't know how it really is until you deal with it. And
That's right.
I'm able to be moving forward, always moving forward in this moment, even with my sister. You know, at this moment, my mom is dragging me down, just like what you were just speaking of, family members. My mom's dragging me down right now a little bit because she's hurting so bad. And I've been able to keep a clear, sane mind with all these Keller Williams meetings, believe that or not, and these classes. And I've been able to stretch out and help myself, but also help her. And so I
You're
just wanted
able
to say,
love on her because she has to go through this grieving period.
and I have
She
to let her.
And you have to let her.
That's
Oh,
right.
honey, I am so proud of you. I could just jump up and down for joy because you get it.
You know, and then there was one other little thing. I had just faced this craziness that I never would have expected. And I was riding my motorcycle just to get out and clear my head the other day. And I parked in a gas station parking spot, and I had my sister's funeral on my mind. We had just finished it. Well, I was trying to take action to get out of my hole. I took action, but but I sat there in a funk. I didn't let go of the things that you were talking about letting go of at that moment. And so I was getting on my motorcycle, fixing to drive away. And luckily I didn't just jump on and go. I chilled for a minute and I tried to let just the calmness come over me. Well, I was backing my bike out, standing up, backing my bike out. And then I just thought of my sister, just let that grip me again and drop my bike. Well, I broke my front brake doing that. And so my first thought was to throw in the towel. My bike fell over. I was just standing in the parking lot and it fell over as I accidentally let it fall over. I just wanted to throw in the towel. Just like everything added up and I was just done with it for a moment. But then I just sat and I kicked myself a little bit and I said, what would everyone in my office do right now? I know that sounds silly. I'm really not making this up. I thought of calling a tow truck. I even called a couple of friends. I need a ride home. And then I called my husband and he sounds like you're Richard. He's like, I told him what happened. He says, jump on that bike and use the back brake and go home. And I was just like, you just don't know until someone tells you.
You didn't think of that because your funk was controlling your mind.
It was controlling me. I rode that bike home on a 55-minute drive with just my back brake, and I felt free as a bird and perfectly calm and peaceful.
And had you had a clear mind, creativity would have flourished and the thought would have hit you, oh, I have a back brake. You knew that, but
I knew it
was filled with funk.
And that's a true story.
I just love your stories. And this leads me to one more story. Jennifer Barnes in Atlanta. She's an agent in Atlanta. There was kind of a lot of funk going on in her mind, and she decided to get rid of it. And she had this great idea about feeding people who needed food because the food banks are just struggling to keep up with the demand. What she has done has turned into something so big, it's unbelievable. You know, the TV stations picked it up. She chose a restaurant. She got the restaurant that was closed and she got people giving her money for this project. She hired the workers in the restaurant, so she's saving a business in the middle of all this. But because she got rid of the funk and then she had this great idea, it is now turned into something so amazing. Kay Evans called me and told me, said, Mo, you are not going to believe what's happening here. And she gave me all the details, and it's just mind-boggling.
Just feeding tons of people, right? She's just feeding so many people, and it's created so much from that.
Such a great story.
She's feeding kids in this Hispanic school. She's feeding the parents. She's feeding the relatives. It's just incredible. And
well, so
and her point of getting on her bike and going home, and she felt as free as a bird. When you get rid of that stuff, it frees you up. It's just.
I'm so glad Tess jumped on. I'm so glad, Tess, you jumped on. I know you're going through so much right now, and that you shared that. It's so beautiful. And
but honey, you're above it.
Yep.
You're not letting it consume you.
That's right.
But you know what? I couldn't do it without any of you guys. My support system.
Well, the support system is really important. And the good Lord always makes sure you have great friends to help you through.
I believe that.
That is true. Hey, Mo, I want to say this quote and then we'll wrap up because I know you probably have another Zoom call to be on. But
actually, I have a 30-minute break.
Oh, good. Okay, a 30-minute break. But in your quote here in, let's see, which one is this? In lesson 19 in your book, right? It says, I believe that when we are tested, we have the greatest opportunity to grow and learn and become stronger.
Well, when you're on top of the mountain, all in the world you have is the view. You just get a nice view. But where you grow is down in the valley and in the struggle that you went through to get to the top of the mountain. So it's really important to let people struggle, because that's where character is built, and that's what makes you who you are. See, it was real important. God knew for me, it was real important that he put me in a home that was poor. And it was real important for him to allow me to lose everything in the late 80s at the age of 54. Because he had a bigger opportunity for me. And I had no idea. I didn't know there was a Keller Williams, and I didn't know there was a Gary Keller. So it's just beautiful how he will let our lives unfold. And just like she went to park in a gasoline station, and through that parking there and dropping her bike, she remembered after her husband told her about the back brake. And when she said she flew home free as a bird, that just made my heart sing and my soul rejoice.
Yeah.
Because she gets it at such a deep level.
Yeah.
Y'all are wonderful.
Mo, you are such a gift. If everybody was unmuted, we'd be like clapping our hands for you right now. And just thank you. I know when I asked Kelly to get on your calendar, it wasn't going to be for a little while. So I know you shuffled to make this happen. So I just want to say thank you from all of us. We've got people from Austin. We'll send this out to all of our Austin agents. We've got people from all over the world watching. We've got South Africa, Dubai, Canada. We love our partners all over. So they all send their love. I hope you saw the notes. I'll download and send them to you as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, everybody,
appreciate you.
Have a great rest of the day.
And by the way, Mo, one quick thing for Red Day at the Southwest, we are pivoting to virtual, right? And we are going to be supporting our food banks like crazy because there's such a high need here in Austin. So
isn't that great?
Yeah.
Well, it's going to give you a chance to get every single person in your market center involved.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be awesome if everybody on this call got everybody in your market center involved?
Yes.
Because you're all kind of hunkered in at home, depending on where you are. Evans, when she called this morning, she was so excited because she got her nails done. Georgia is the first state that's really open.
Oh,
I'm dying to get my nails done, but I'm not getting out yet.
yes, not yet, but it'll be there, right? I think there's a lot of good that will come out of this, and your mindset is everything. And so you're going to help a lot of people from this call.
Well, and the ones who have been calling their sphere of influence, you are absolutely set up for so much success. It's not even funny. But let me tell you one last thing. Every one of you must go to Bold, because now it's dirt cheap. It's amazing the price they put on it. It's going to be virtual. It's going to be great. We will have the biggest, largest Bold training thing in the history of the world, I think.
Yeah.
And it is the time to get your friends in other companies to come and take it with you, because I recruited just 2 or 3 weeks ago by the internet. You know, I recruited the mother-daughter team from Berkshire Hathaway. They are so stunned with all the stuff we have. The daughter's already in MAPS coaching. They can't believe all these calls and all that's going on and what they're learning. They're sending me gifts to thank me for recruiting them. Now, here is your opportunity, because most other companies don't have the stuff we have, and they don't have the love we have. They don't care about their people as much as we care about ours. That's just the truth.
That is the truth. And when will you ever have, no, preach it, Mo, preach it. $99. It starts next Tuesday. It'll be Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 3. And then Wednesday and Friday, you have yeah, it's so easy for you guys.
You get a recruit on the Tuesday, Thursday Bold thing, and they're going to be bowled over. So here's a chance to really give your downline a big boost.
Yeah.
Get on that call. I mean, register, get in there.
Huge opportunity. And it's all about mindset. Everything's mindset and right now. Mo, you are amazing. Thank you for all you do. We love you, love you, love you, and appreciate you so much.
Well, I'll be back in Austin hopefully soon.
Okay, I want to have our lunch, and then let's all celebrate the month of giving with Mo and Red Day, and let's get 100% participation around the world. How awesome is that?
Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome?
That'd be amazing. That'd be the best birthday present ever, right?
My birthday is 2 days before Red Day, and I'll be 83.
Wow.
83.
Amazing.
Isn't that awesome? I'm trying to prove to you you're not supposed to quit when you're 65.
I love it. Thank you, Mo. We love you.